So today I'd like to reflect with you on my personal journey and how in each step or in each step in my journey, whether that's career or um, business journey, I have learned something about myself. And the intention is really to help you see how, looking back, you can actually learn something from every experience and discover your inner compass, like what you value, what's important to you, and who you truly are. And that is actually what I believe about business, that business is the vehicle that, through failures and also success, but more so through failures, which is more true for me, through failures I discovered more of who I am. So just briefly, my background, my professional background has always been in digital marketing. And so my last role, I was a conversion consultant based in London, working with clients on optimizing their websites and creating websites that would convert users, such as make users customers. And so doing that role at the time, I have to say that was one of the more challenging roles for me, because I have got into that field having background in marketing, but a more broader aspects of marketing as opposed to conversion optimization, which is a very scientifically driven field and requires a lot of testing, a lot of hypothesis, research, and constructing a case based on research and such. So that role, as I said, was challenging for me at the time. And at the time, I didn't, I actually made a decision that yes, I can figure it out, but at the same time, I felt like I wasn't good enough. Looking back at it now, knowing more about myself, knowing what was going on at the time, I realized that one, my life design was just not working, such as the environment in which I was performing that role was very challenging. And to start with, it took me an hour and a half to get to the place of work, and sometimes even two, in a very, very busy city. By the time I got to work, I was already tired. So my day would start at like 6 o'clock in the morning and I would get back home at 9. And that was that was just physically very hard for me, even though at the time I didn't recognize it. I was like, I'm an implementer, I can get it done. I was pushing myself to do it, but I could push that much, and my mental capacities were diminished by the virtue of my physical diminished capacity. Well, I didn't know that at the time. At the time, I made a decision that I'm not as good as other consultants. And so, what I've learned from that experience looking back is it was a totally wrong role for me. I have learned that I am, and now just a step back, the way you can learn about your talents, strengths, and such, you can take a lot of different personality tests, some of which I'll include in the video below, so you can actually see whether the role that you are doing right now is the right role for you. And so, having discovered that I am people-focused person, like I enjoy being with people, I'd say I'm a natural networker, though I am learning to be more effective in my communication, more expressive and such, but I generally love being with people. I love being in connection. I always loved organizing things and learning more about my predispositions and talents for like that human aspect. I don't know how to, the word isn't coming to me, but it's like I'm more people focused as opposed to data driven, or if that could be compared in that way. But my weakness, for example, I know for a fact that working with data has always been difficult for me, and I could physically feel, if I look back, that it just drained me. But at the time I was thinking it drains me because I'm not good enough, as opposed to that is the area that least developed and I need to put more effort into developing it if I want to develop it. So that's one. Now knowing that I'm more predisposed to humanistic studies, and have predispositions or talents to be in a communication, be with people. I have structured my skill development so that I develop my strength, such as I'm learning about psychology. I qualified as a holistic health coach. I do quite a lot on leadership development and really looking deeper into what are the elements or skills that I need to understand people better, such as psychology, to communicate better, and to be effective leader. And that shifted me completely away from the roles that require a more scientific mind. That's the word I was looking for. And it's like two worlds. And I can really say that having seen that completely shifted my perspective on what I need to be leaning into business as well, because that was one of the roles that didn't work for me as well, and I wasn't as successful there as I wanted to be, actually. And so then I went into business and I started my business actually not knowing what I want. And that was another kind of call to action for me, or call to adventure, to get to know myself, because the premise of that was I didn't know what I wanted because I didn't know myself. And when I started the business, I actually went to package up my skills and sell the skills, as opposed to, again, looking at what are my talents, what are my strengths, what are my predispositions that I could develop so that I can structure my business, my life, to be in alignment who I truly am, so that the business is an extension of who I am. Now, looking back, it's much easier to analyze it as opposed to being in that situation itself. So the first business I've actually created it with my, at the time, partner, who is my husband now. He used to be a copywriter, and we had very compatible skills because we worked in the past on a lot of different, like I actually would send him requests to create the website copy or the copy for the campaign, and we would work with him together to do that in the company where we actually met, but that's a different story. So anyways, looking at both skill sets, we created a company which was UX advisors, user experience advisors. So I had quite a bit of experience from my consultancy role, though I really didn't enjoy that. I still went into creating the first company around the skill set. Again, just emphasizing, because I didn't know any better who I was. And I knew that my partner has been an exceptional copywriter, so it just made sense that I would create wireframes for the websites. Wireframes such as, if you don't know what it is, it's just the layout of the website, create structures, and he would then create the copy for the website. And in that, we were helping our clients, or the intention was to help clients to make better websites so that people that come to the website would easily become the customers or clients. And so we did have a number of different clients. In that work together, we actually found it was very difficult for us to work together as well. And that is again because neither of us knew ourselves well enough to know what our strengths were. And on reflection, actually, 10 years down the line in business, my husband actually realized that he doesn't want to be a copywriter. Copywriter has never been it has been his profession of choice, but he like kind of fell into it, very much like I fell into marketing because it was just I think a trend in some ways, and I was like, yeah, I want to be in marketing, PR, communications, business, which is my background. Anyways, that's a little bit of deviation, but the point here is that by the virtue of not knowing any of that, we were fighting a lot, and while we were delivering things to clients, we actually didn't enjoy that process at all. So from that business, we evolved into healthpreneur, and that business was all focused around helping health professionals to create better websites, to create better copy. And the reason being there is because I quit my job because of my health challenges. And I would say it was the first wake-up call where I started exploring health and leaning more into health because it was an interest of mine. So the second business was slightly more in alignment with my new discoveries. And again, at that time, I didn't quite choose it consciously. It was just the interest and something that I knew that was important to me and the field that I wanted to be part of. So that was the next journey. And from there, my partner discovered that, you know, he's very good with systems and very good, I'd say digital space for him is just a natural environment that he just loves, and he's digital native. When for me it took quite a while to adjust to, because I know that I'm more people centric, so I always wanted to be part of something and in communication in the group physically as opposed to working on the computer. So he as a technical scientific driven person and research driven person actually, he loved and still loves systems technology. And so we then shifted a bit more towards systems because he was good at that and I was good at project management and implementation. And then that we started discovering again that I am very good at implementation and project management. He is really good at helping clients to define their processes, to put structures in place so that the business works more seamlessly. And so we went into a new venture which was all about helping small businesses to put processes in place so that they can essentially increase their profitability by the virtue of not spending time on the repetitive tasks or unnecessary tasks and such. So that was in that business where I started seeing how his skill set more than my own, because it's always easier to see somebody else's, you know, strengths and weaknesses as opposed to my own. But in that business as well, we were discovering that working together for some reason was very hard. And it was hard because while I was an implementer, get things done now, he was an implementer but in a different way. He had his own systems, processes. He had more self-knowledge and more organization around how he wants to work. And I had I didn't have that understanding. I didn't have the understanding that we are two very different people with two different skill sets and two different energy levels and two different ways of working and thinking. Right? So, which to me now things looks so funny because I mean, it was so painful. I'm not gonna lie, but having on reflection discovered, by individuality, we're all unique in every possible way. It puts quite a lot of perspective and really appreciation for the fact that we pulled through, that we still went ahead and still kept, well, at that time we were already married or getting married, that we still together and we still were working through all of those challenges in business, which of course spilled over into our personal life as well. And so that was the next venture, and from that venture I actually went more into the business that caught my eye earlier on my path. Just like when I quit my job and I started looking for a different way of doing business, a different products, healthier products, because it was all related with my health as well. So I started looking into the companies that create the products that are in alignment with nature, that have sustainable way of operation, that have ethics in place. And I've discovered the company that just blown me away, and it was fresh skincare products, which I still use and work with, and just thinking about it brings joy to just brings joy, because at the time I saw it and it sparked something for me, and I didn't fully understand it, and I didn't therefore fully commit, while I always been kind of part of it, but it wasn't the centerpiece of what I was doing. And with that company, I actually, at the time when we had that systems business, at that time we started looking at maybe we should be working separately, believe it or not. And that is when I knew that my beauty adventure has begun, that I need to lean into it, and I created a team around it. I've helped it launch that brand in the UK, because UK didn't have the presence of that brand. And it was, even now looking back in that company, I actually discovered what I value. And what I value, which I now more consciously consciously choose, is beauty, nature, freedom, connection, and there's something I'm forgetting. I know there's something I'm forgetting, but I can't remember. But yeah, in this company, I started crystallizing for me how my values are what drives me. And from there on, it's actually, my husband went into technology company. He worked there for a little while, for actually a long while, like 4 years, and then he created, or in collaboration together, we created a company around his values, which is learning. He loves learning. And at that time I was already qualifying as a health coach, holistic health coach, and I started understanding myself better, and also understanding him better, and started really being more curious about what were his interests, where his strengths lie, what were his talents. And it really, through that open conversation filled with curiosity and understanding that a lot of the things that I carried with me in the past, the way I've been, the way I've operated, has really were not my own. I know it sounds strange, and I haven't in the past, when I talked about it, this is not mine, I didn't quite understand myself, like all of this conditioning, the way what I was exposed to, the way of being, the way of living, the way of communicating and such. All of that was obtained through repeated exposure, but it wasn't really who I was. And so in that experience, when I started my holistic health coaching certification, I started seeing that more clearly. I started seeing more clearly that the business need to be an extension of who you are, such as it is love made visible. Whatever you create is really extension of your talents. And I started working with my husband and helping him to really see what his talents are. And I'm actually very excited to include the link below so that you can see what came out of it. It's the company that is structured around both of our values, because there is an element that we both play, but it's the core of it, his love, his passion for learning and helping individuals to acquire new skills, such as entrepreneurs, helping entrepreneurs upskill, or helping organizations to upskill their workforce. So I'll include the link there so you can see how the value of learning for him and for me, bio individuality, recognizing that we are all different, we all have different talents, and when we bring them together we can create something beautiful. So I'll include the link there so you can have a look. And I too went on to my own adventure, realizing that what has always been the driver for me, and in some way a pain as well, because I'll tell you a little bit more about it, but it's creating a realized movement. Oh gosh, I completely okay, let me try it again. While he went on to his journey, I went on to mine, where I was leading my own movement, or creation of my own movement around self-realization, helping women realize themselves, and therefore their name is the Realized Woman. And in the journey, I realized that whatever I was striving for before has always been driven by my value of freedom, adventure, needing flexibility, striving to create beauty in the world, and seeing beauty in difference, such as seeing beauty in being different. And so I got onto my own adventure and created, in collaboration with my husband, in collaboration with my designer, created a beautiful company, a beautiful brand that has my values at the core of it, like, because I believe, and not only believe, it's something that I strive for, which is autonomy, which is freedom, adventure, which is being in connection, being in community, appreciating beauty in life and nature. And those values are driving me to create the movement where women can realize themselves by virtue of knowing who they are, what their talents are, and then choosing their own path. That is for you to create your business from scratch around your values, or being part of a values aligned business. And so I will include that link and my website link in there as well, so you can see how my values, my discoveries on the journey have shaped what I've created and has shaped the business and the mission and vision of the business going forward.